All right, welcome back to another explainer, Logical Army. Today, we're literally stepping into the shoes of a master investigator to tackle what I'm calling the most confusing murder.
Picture this. It's a rainy night, there's a lively party going on, but then, bam! The host's friend, Pooja, is found dead inside a locked room. So here's my challenge for you right off the bat. Can you actually solve this mystery before Detective Mahol does? I'm going to lay out the exact same visual clues, the alibis, and the forensic evidence. Let's break it all down step by step. You ready? Let's get into it.
Okay, let's dive into this. We need to look at the hard facts of the crime scene first. Our victim is Pooja. When the detective gets there, he spots a few glaring details right away. Number 1, the right side door is left wide open, and get this, the lock shows it was opened from the inside. Number 2, since it's pouring rain outside, there are these super distinct muddy shoe footprints tracking right into the room and straight back out. And finally, the weapon. Lying right next to Pooja is a violently shattered juice glass, and it's covered in blood. I know, it's a totally chaotic scene, but these 4 details, they are the absolute foundational puzzle pieces we have to work with.
Now, we've got to look at who else was actually in the house. The detective rounds up the 5 other party guests to get their alibis for the exact moment Rohit discovered the body. Here's our cast of characters and where they claim they were. Raj says he was in the kitchen making fresh juice. Simran claims she was out in the garden just enjoying the cool breeze with her drink. Neha says she went to the kitchen with Raj to grab a refill. Rohit, as we know, was in the side room taking a phone call. And finally, Kabir says he was in the washroom, and he specifically makes a point to say he left his juice glass out on the table before he went. Keep this table in the back of your mind, because someone here is definitely lying.
So the investigation immediately follows the most obvious physical clue, right? Those muddy footprints. Detective Mahul tracks these prints out the door, down the hall, and literally all the way up to the terrace. And what does he find? A guy hiding, wearing shoes completely caked in fresh mud. And the guy just quickly confesses? No joke, he admits he's a hired hitman. He says he was paid a huge chunk of money to show up at the party, find the door that was left open for him, take out Pooja, and run. Case closed, right? Well, actually, not quite.
Now, what's really fascinating here is the massive contradiction between his confession and the actual physical forensics. The hitman claims he arrived, found the door open, but insists that when he walked into that room, Pooja was already dead. He says he panicked and just ran back out. Now, is he just lying to get a lighter sentence? Well, the forensic evidence proves he's actually telling the truth. The muddy footprints show that the hitman stepped on top of the spilled juice and blood. Think about it. If he'd struck the fatal blow with that glass, the blood and juice would have spilled over his footprints, or he would have stepped on a clean floor before the spill happened. Because his prints are resting squarely on top of the liquid, that glass was already shattered and the murder had absolutely already happened before he ever even stepped foot in that room.
So, the crucial takeaway here is this. We've got a mastermind, sure, but we still have a totally separate physical murderer on the loose. Remember, the hitman said someone was supposed to leave the door open for him. Well, the detective dusts the inner doorknob and, boom, finds Rohit's fingerprints. Confronted with this, Rohit confesses, yeah, he hired the hitman, and yeah, he opened the door from the inside to let him in before sneaking off to the side room to fake his phone call alibi. But just like the hitman, Rohit is completely stunned. He didn't actually kill her, he just set the stage. Rohit is basically a giant red herring for the physical act of the murder. So, who actually beat the hitman to the punch?
To figure that out, we have to dig a lot deeper into the witness testimonies. During questioning, Kabir casually drops a massive piece of intel that flips the entire timeline on its head. He mentions, almost like an afterthought, there was a power cut. When the lights came back, Pooja was dead. Now, a sudden power cut on a rainy night isn't exactly wild, but in the context of a locked room mystery, darkness is the ultimate cover. The detective instantly realizes this power cut wasn't some random accident. It was completely orchestrated.
Let's map out exactly how this builds the timeline for the real killer. If that power cut was intentional, their path had to look exactly like this. First, they walk out into the pouring rain to get to the main electric box. Second, they flip the switch, plunging the whole house into absolute darkness. Third, they navigate back inside, in the pitch black, to strike Pooja with the glass. And fourth, they have to run all the way back out to the electric box to turn the lights back on so the party resumes and the body gets discovered. What does this mean? It means the killer absolutely must have made multiple trips out in that mud.
And this realization brings us right back to our suspects, specifically the ones who are hanging around near the garden or outside. Let's look at Simran first. She claims she was just chilling in the garden, drinking her juice, enjoying the breeze. Does the physical evidence of those muddy footprints in the garden actually support her alibi? Or does it point to her making multiple frantic trips to the breaker box?
Well, the detective heads out to the garden to check it out, and the forensic analysis of the mud completely clears Simran. Her specific shoe prints show one clear path walking out into the garden and one path walking back inside when she heard Rohit shouting. And more importantly, her tracks go nowhere near the electric box. Simran is telling the absolute truth here. She's completely innocent.
But what about Raj? Oh man, this is where things get incredibly suspicious. Raj claimed he was in the kitchen making juice, right? But upon further questioning, it turns out that right before the lights went out, he stepped into the kitchen washroom. And guess what? That kitchen washroom has a direct back door that leads straight out to the electric box. Did Raj use his super convenient location to sneak out the back, flip the switch, commit the crime, and then just sneak right back in? I mean, it is literally the perfect geographical alibi.
But once again, the mud tells the true story. The detective examines the ground directly in front of the electric box. The footprints there clearly show a path of travel coming from the main party hall and then returning directly to the main party hall. There are absolutely zero tracks leading to or from that super convenient kitchen washroom door. So Raj's geographical advantage? It was just a total coincidence. The killer definitely came from the main room, which means Raj is innocent too.
And this brilliantly illustrates how narrowing down the suspect pool forces us to look at the absolute finest details. Think about it. We've eliminated the hitman, we know Rohit was just the planner, and we've officially cleared both Simran and Raj based on the mud tracks. This leaves us with the final, ultimate piece of physical evidence that just came back from the lab, the fingerprint report on those juice glasses. This right here is what will crack the entire case wide open. Let's lay out the final fingerprints.
Okay, here is exactly what the fingerprint analysis shows. First up, the broken glass. The literal murder weapon has Raj's fingerprints all over it. But wait, we literally just cleared Raj, so why are his prints there? Well, because as we know, Raj was the one making and serving the juice to everyone. He touched every single glass. Next, we have an unbroken glass with Neha's prints. Then another unbroken glass with the victim Pooja's prints. And finally, Rohit's glass was found perfectly intact in the side room where he was taking his fake call. I want you to take a long, hard look at this list. Who is missing?
That's exactly right. The math just doesn't add up. Kabir explicitly told the detective, hey, I left my glass on the table before I went to the washroom. But there is absolutely no glass with Kabir's fingerprints on it anywhere. Every other glass is totally accounted for. So I really have to ask you, where in the world is Kabir's glass?
We have successfully analyzed every single alibi, we've tracked the footprints in the mud, and we've cross-referenced the fingerprints on the glasses. All the pieces are right here on the table. Now, Logical Army, it is entirely up to you. Who is the real killer, and exactly how did they pull off this dark, locked room murder? I want you to pause this explainer right now, connect the dots regarding that missing glass, and drop your full deduction down in the comments before we move on. I really want to see your logic on this one. All right, bonus investigation, the poisoned food. Let's keep those brain muscles warm with a super rapid-fire visual detective challenge.
Okay, imagine you're at this buffet, and you've just been tipped off that one of these 3 items has been tampered with and is highly toxic. You have option A, the sandwich, option B, the French fries, and option C, the pastry. Your survival literally depends on your observation skills here. Which one of these is poisoned?
Let's rapidly break down the visual evidence, just like a detective scanning a crime scene. Item A, the sandwich, looks a little bit messy. It's got some orange liquid on it, but if you look closer, that's just a totally harmless orange juice spill. Nothing deadly going on there. Item B, the French fries. Well, they look a little stale and dry. Maybe they've been sitting out way too long, but structurally, they're perfectly normal. But now, look at item C, the pastry. If you zoom in really closely on the filling,
Yes, the pastry is the deadly trap. The visual presence of tiny spiders crawling around inside that sweet filling is the absolute definitive clue that it is toxic and highly dangerous to eat. It just goes to show, whether you are analyzing a complex murder timeline or just staring at a plate of food, paying attention to the tiniest, seemingly insignificant details is the true key to solving literally any mystery.